Welcome to this video which shows opening and using VirtualBox to create a simple Visual Basic program. Whether you're starting your programming journey in Year 7 or using this to update on how to use VirtualBox alongside OneDrive, I hope you find it useful. So from the school desktop, pop down to the Start menu, All Apps, and then scroll down to N in the alphabetical list, finding NKS VBox. Alternatively, you can hit the Start menu and just type NKS, and it'll identify the app to open. Now, while it's loading up, a quick note on why we use VirtualBox. We can't program directly on our network. This is because, unlike most organisations, we're not all employees. For a network in a school, college or university, 90% of our users are effectively customers. Allowing coding directly on our network would require us to allow users to run anything on our network, which is very insecure and would breach our obligations for data protection. The alternative is using web-based apps, which is okay, but no web-based app provides the functionality of Visual Studio, especially the ability to debug programs and create real programs you can run on your own home computer offline. And it helps our students learn the skills needed for real coding, for writing apps and games. So once loaded, you'll reach the VirtualBox desktop. Hit Don't Show This Again if you see any messages over on the right, and once the desktop has been around for a few moments, pull the window down from the top of the screen just to check it's resizing itself correctly into the window, and then push it back to the top to allow it to fully fill the screen. So we have a black Windows 10 toolbar sitting neatly above the Windows 11 toolbar below. Notice the VirtualBox does not have a connection to the internet, but you don't need it. You've got Windows 11 for that. Now, I forgot to mention that we should make sure your OneDrive icon is fully synced before you run Virtual PC. But when it's loaded, you'll notice that you've been given a new folder in your OneDrive called VirtualBox Files. It's a good idea to set this to always keep on this device using the right-click menu so that it will pre-download everything in that folder locally. This will help VirtualBox work more efficiently. Now back to Windows 10. If I open File Explorer, you'll also see VirtualBox files, this time showing as Drive Z. And the files in here, surprise, are the same as the files in the OneDrive folder. So if I create a text file here, this file will be immediately visible in Windows 10. If I change the name of this file in Windows 10, it will immediately change in OneDrive. Right, let's create our first file to use this folder. Click on the purple icon on the toolbar that looks a bit like an infinity symbol. This is Visual Studio. If you already have a program to load up, you can use Open Project or Solution, which opens your Z drive. Select the project folder and then double-click on the file with SLN, short for solution, at the end. But to create a project, we select Create a New Project. After a few seconds, the selection of pre-pinned projects will appear. We're going to be using the middle one, Console App for Visual Basic, a text-based app. But you'll notice there are two project types for Visual Basic and two for C# that we use at A-level, as well as Python at the top. Once our selection is chosen, we click Next, and all we need to do is name our project. I'm choosing My First Program. Then click Create. After a few seconds, your blank Visual Basic project appears. Don't change the scaffolding code you see here apart from the code inside submain. That's where our main program sits. Now I'm going to quickly type a program here with some basic description. In many languages, VB is one of them. We have to set up memory spaces for us to store information in our program. This command is creating 3 of these memory locations called variables and asking for enough space, hence dim, short for dimension, to store a whole number, which is also known as integer. The next command is literally writing a line of text to the console, which is the on-screen window our program runs in. This gives instructions to the user to input 2 numbers, and the next 2 lines perform the 2 inputs. And these commands are actually read from right to left. We read a line typed in at the console, and then we store whatever's been typed into the variables on the left. The next line stores in the variable total the sum of the 2 numbers entered. Finally, we write another line out on the screen, this time a bit of fixed text followed by the total variable, so it'll print whatever's stored in that variable. Now you'll notice in Visual Studio we need to end our program with a read line, and this is literally just to stop the program closing all by itself when it gets to the end so we can actually see the result. It's a little bit of a cheat, but we have to put it in there. To run our program, we press the Start button at the top. This program is then compiled and saved, and this can take a little bit longer the first time you do it, but you'll see the program running in the console. So we need to do a quick test with a couple of values, and yes, you'll see it runs correctly. And it's generally good practice to check lots of values to make sure your program works. But if we close Visual Studio, imagine this is the following lesson, we can find our project now in Drive Z. If we open that folder, we can find our SLN file we mentioned earlier. Double-clicking may ask us if we want to open it in Visual Studio, we do, and then it will load our project into it. So your job is to copy this program and check that you can get it working. Then think of ways to modify it to do different things. Programming is a perfect mix of creativity and logic, so the very best of luck in your programming journey.